Well, hello, friends, and welcome back to the Real Life Conversations for Christian Coaches podcast. I'm your host, Teresa McCloy.
And I'm Erica Vinson.
We are so glad you're here for today's conversation, and it's going to feel a little bit different. Erica and I are actually going to have a conversation, and she's going to kind of interview me. Sometimes I'm interviewing her a little bit, and we're actually going to talk about a question that we both often hear from coaches all the time as I work within our certification program and as does Erica, certifying coaches in the work that we do. Erica also teaches some at a coaching school. So she works with a lot of coaches who really want to know that question of, can I really make money as a coach? So we're going to dive in and I'm going to kind of turn it over to Erica to guide the conversation as we go today. So, Erica, it's all yours.
Absolutely. Well, this is a question that students often ask, and they want to know, is this something I need to do on the side and actually have another business as well? Or can I actually provide a sustainable income for my family? And so before we jump into this conversation, I want to share a little perspective from the International Coaching Federation because they just rolled out in 2025 a new global coaching study report. And according to the most recent report, the coaching industry is generating over 5 billion globally. The great part about that statistic is that's actually almost doubled from what came out in the 2023 report. So we know coaching is a growing profession. There are more than 120,000 professional coaches worldwide, and it just continues to grow each and every year. So coaching is becoming more and more recognized as a profession. And so we know it's valid, we know it's transforming. But Teresa, I think really the question most of our coaches are asking is, can this be something sustainable for me? I love the work, but can it be sustainable? So, what are your thoughts on that?
As you and I know, we've talked about it here on the podcast many times when a person desires to help others or someone has spoke over their life and said, you are a great listener, or you are in, as many of our coaches that we work with are in our certification, there might be closer to the second half of life. And they're saying, I have some skills, I have some things I know, I have some wisdom. I do love to listen. And I'm looking back at myself 20 years ago saying, man, if I would have had someone speaking into my life in my 20s, 30s, 40s, or even 50s, 60s, if I would have just had a person that listened to me and helped me either in my life or in the work that I'm doing, what a difference that would make. And so many times we begin looking into coaching because we have a deep desire to help others. So, as most of us would know professionally, we start to look at like schools that we can go and get training in or programs that we can get training in. That's actually what we offer, the Real Life Process. We have a certification that you can go through to use our tools to grow your skills, to have something to actually offer to clients, and to have a process and a community, coaching, community, content, all of those things. But a part of it is developing the skills and the tools. Many times we know how to do that part. And there comes a point, and you and I have both taught in coaching schools, where this light bulb goes off of, oh, you mean I'm going to need a business around this? I thought I was just going to listen to people and help them. And I was going to come from my heart space and it was all going to be great. And that's true. But, you know, for many people, as you mentioned, all the stats in ICF world, they want to have an income. They want to have a revenue that's coming in. So it requires more than just the skill of being a good listener or knowing the coaching process or the spiritual direction process, the consulting whatever you call yourself doesn't really matter as much as you have a desire. You got maybe some training if you needed it, and then you have a light bulb moment. That
Mhm.
at least has been what I hear from people. So without the structure, it's kind of difficult to create a consistent income.
Yeah, well, you're taking us a little deeper into the conversation here as you kind of opened that thought of, yes, you can have the skill, but now how does this actually become something that produces some revenue for me? And so, as you've been training coaches and coaching yourself for a lot of years, what's the difference between someone who does have the coaching skills and then someone who has the coaching skills plus wants to build a coaching business?
Well, I think when I think about it, coaching is the skill, it's the craft, but a business has to have a little more structure to it. And it's almost like any entrepreneur, as we would say, you almost need to wear two hats. I just want to talk with people. Like, I just want to ask great questions and help them move forward. Oh, I have to market myself, for lack of a better word. We call it using your own unique voice and how you find how to do that in the world. I have to keep some records. I have to maybe decide what I'm going to call my business. Like for some people, that doesn't feel near as fun, but it's actually what helps you start to look at it as a business that makes money. So I think you have to come to terms with, I'm going to need to wear two hats, or there's not going to be any revenue that's coming in, which may have been one of the drivers as to why. And we can talk about that more.
So much of what you're talking about makes me think of the head heart gut connection
Oh,
we talk
yeah.
about often. I mean, most coaches in the sense of helping profession, even in the name, it's because they have a heart to see people be heard and take action and really align their values and all of those things to live a more abundant life. And so it comes from a heart space, but then the head wisdom that has to kick in, and then the action you have to take in your body to actually have the coaching
Yeah.
business, it's got to all be integrated. And
Mm.
so when you look back even at your journey, when did you realize for you, Teresa, that you needed to move from just coaching to help people to actually building this as a business?
Well, and I would share just honestly, and you know me well, I've always had an entrepreneurial
Mm,
sense about me.
yeah.
If you're listening to us and you don't know, I've owned a brick and mortar business. I've a retail business. I've ran a music studio out of my home with about 90 kids in and out doing piano, voice, and kinder music. I have sold lots of different products back in the day, door to door. I have done all kinds of things from a business perspective. And so the entrepreneurial side of me is naturally in me. It's not in a lot of people. So coaching is the way I'm doing that now. And that's the way I'm wired. So we often see two different kinds of people that are very entrepreneurial mindset and the business side, the idea that I'm going to create a product or a service and an offer and I'm going to sell it to people, and what I'm selling is coaching, comes natural. For other people, the coaching actually comes first and the skill and desire. And then it's the, I need to learn more about this side. And I think that's a good awareness for people to say, where do I see in my story? Where have I had experience? You don't have to have had. I mean, you came from education and teaching and yet you've built a business, so it's learnable. Anything is learnable, and you find those who've gone before you, you learn from others, you do your own reading and studying and all those things. It's exciting. Then for others, those things come easy. And to be honest, like sometimes I'm like, I need to work on my skill a little bit more because my brain naturally goes to the business side. So that's just my story. It looks different. Personality comes into play, life calling comes into or life stages, your calling that you feel. And let's be honest, this episode we're talking about, can you make money? What are your income needs?
It's a
Has to
great question.
factor in
Mm.
to your decision to have a coaching practice or business, whichever you call it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, great question there to ponder for yourself as you're listening in. And you already kind of alluded to this, Teresa, but there are so many different ways to build a coaching business.
Mhm.
One of the things I love about this conversation is that both of us, as you said, have built coaching businesses, are entrepreneurs, CEOs of our coaching businesses, but our businesses look different. And so, say more about that as it relates to even the different ways that you've done it.
Yeah. So in the beginning, I mean, this is year 10 for me, will be this fall. And in the beginning, I was private practice. I was just starting out working with clients from my circle, mostly pastors or people from that space, because I'd been in ministry, just starting to get my word out a little bit of time while I was doing coach training. I wasn't fully developed yet as a coach, but I encourage people to start. It's not going to be perfect, but you have to start somewhere to learn and develop and see what works and what doesn't. And then over time, as I developed, and again, it's the way I'm wired. Not everybody, you're not wired like this completely, but I developed what I felt like was a framework and a way, because I was working on it in my own life, that I could work with others and kind of do a repeatable process. I like that type of coaching, that framework type coaching, knowing I have a tools in my toolbox that I can draw from. I'm going to use open conversations and questions. So over time, and many of you know the story that have listened, it turned into others saying, "Can I use what you're doing?" And you at the time then had started working with me as well. And we were like, how can we let others do this? So we started certifying other people as coaches. And so my business grew into helping others build
Mhm.
their business because I love business and business is a part of making money. If it's a business, it makes money or it has income coming in. It's not a ministry. Even businesses can have income and be nonprofits, but it's not like I'm giving it away. I want to see coaches be able to make whatever income they need. And it's different for everyone. But, your path, I mean, you can talk about your own story, but it's been a little bit different. And you and I have worked together, we've collaborated on different things. I would say, and we'll talk about this maybe a little bit more, but I just want to introduce the idea that probably for most coaches, one stream of revenue doing one-to-one coaching work, unless you don't need a lot of income, is not going to give you what you need. And I think that's important for people to hear. I want to be totally honest with people and straightforward with them. I think if you're hearing someone saying, go get trained as a coach, you can build a coaching business, you can make this many thousands of dollars in your first year, you'll get a return on your investment. I would be leery of someone saying this one thing in it. No business. I've had plenty of experience, successes and failures to say, that is no business. Can you go, I'm going to just go sell tennis shoes and only tennis shoes.
Mm.
And I bet if I build it, they will come and buy tennis shoes from me. I- yeah.
Yeah.
Most businesses close in the first 3 years.
Yeah. What you're talking about, Teresa, is actually backed up by the ICF Global Study. So,
Mhm.
interestingly enough, in the 2025 study, they just rolled out that most professional coaches offer additional services.
Mhm.
60% of people provide training, 57% of people offer consulting, 55% of people offer facilitation, and then they talk about 49% even deliver mentoring. So, it doesn't have to be a solo I'm
Yeah.
scraping by. As I'm building, many coaches find that their platforms actually can complement the work you're doing. You mentioned I'm a teacher. And so I teach at a coaching school. From time to time, there are students that want coaching because they're being trained as coaches. And so they want to have a coach. So those platforms actually can complement one another. And we would highly encourage that if you're really wanting to lean in. But yeah.
Sure. I think it's looking back, and I've worked with a lot of people that are in that second half of life coming into this as a part-time career or even full-time if that's what they're looking for. I think it's interesting here in 2026, even how somebody will say, "Oh, I work full time." And we're like, "How many hours?" And they're like, "Oh, 25 to 30." That to me, now we've redefined what full time work is. And so, you know, you have to know, how much time do I want to spend and how much income do I want to make? I don't, in my coaching business, want to work really. I just did this figures, and I'm not saying this will be where you're at. Remember, I've been in this 10 years. I'm probably, and I was trying to do an honest assessment, actually using AI. What am I spending in my business? About 20 hours a week, tops. And that's me seeing 5 clients every week. I have 5 open slots for coaching every week. Now, that's some private clients that I see. I don't have a lot of those, and our coaches in our network. And as of 2026, I backed it down to 5 spots that are available. Once those 5 are done, and they don't even all fill every week, that is 20 sessions a month. It is plenty for me, besides teaching in our network, as you do as well, showing up on those calls, doing other conversations, other sales processes in my business. Content creation at where I'm at takes a lot of my time. And then speaking, training and workshops, creating content, writing on things. I write daily, and then I write a longer blog type thing on Sundays. All of those are part of either feeding into my business or creating revenue. But 5 years ago, I was probably working 35 to 40. So
Mhm.
you can build the sustainability of less hours. But what about for you? Because you've taken a little bit of a different path to coaching and to coaching in some different ways, even inside of our program and things like that. I think it'd be great to hear your story as well.
Yeah, I have a variety of types of clients. And so you said it, I coach for the real life process. So within our accelerator program, which is our training and certification program through the process, I coach each person that comes through there. I also coach within our network. And so once coaches are certified, they have the opportunity to stay within our community and receive ongoing training and CCEs. You know, if you are credentialed in the ICF world and need that continuing education. And so I coach within that network as well. And then I also do some team coaching. And so I have clients who I work as an internal coach for their business, and I coach their team from kind of the top down in different seasons. And then I have private clients as well. And many of my private clients come by word of mouth referral. And so that's just something for me, the relational marketing piece. We do it differently just in how that fits for me. And it seems to be in this season, it's sustainable. And so there may be other seasons coming where I have to do things a little bit differently. But I love what you're saying, Teresa. I'm just noticing what is full time for you in this season. And it really sounds like that can be unique depending on stage of life.
And I think you have to look at that, and it can change. But you have to know, to make money as a coach, you need those 2 pieces of information. You need to get up on the balcony of your life where God has you in this season, and be realistic to say, it's not realistic to say, I want to work 10 hours a week and I want to make 50, $60,000 a year as a coach. Unless you're going to get someone to pay you $1,000 an hour. And that's not, you know, unless you're high level, and there are people that are that high level. I'm not going to say they're not, but that's not the norm. So you also need to do your research. I think there's 3 pieces. How much time do you want to spend? How much income do you want to make? Is that your highest value? Or is it just, this is a give back for you? So we can't judge, but people pay. You don't want to way undersell yourself, or people will doubt even your skill level and all of those things. And then you need to do your research. ICF is a great place to find out that information. This is the other question we get all the time. What do you charge for a session? How do you we talk about all these things in our coaches network and do whole conversations about them and trainings about them. And we do the research for you to find out this information, because it changes and fluctuates. But what's the rate for a private conversation? How do you put together a whole package for someone of 8, 10, 12 sessions that they would walk with you in. How do you do group coaching? I see a lot of people go, well, I'm just going to start coaching. I'm going to do some groups. And I'm like, where's this group coming from? Maybe they have that much connection in their local community or their church or even from an online platform. But, I just never want to give anyone the field of streams, build it and they will come.
Yeah.
It's you're building and they're coming, you're building and it's a both and research and development, finding your voice, your
Mm.
niche, your specialties. You and I have both coached in lots of different places. You've coached with professional athletes that are working on the junior high, high school level on their skills because you have that sports mentality. So you're not a sports coach, you've been a mindset coach with those people. I've coached a lot in the local business space. I have local business clients I love working with. I love being in person. So it takes a little bit to find all those things out. And along the way, what are you going to charge? What are you going to do for those? You might start out at one income and raise it in 6 months or a year. But money can be made. That's the question we had at the beginning. Can I make money? Yes. But I talked with a guy this week that's considering coming into our network. And I'll be honest, he's retiring from a full-time position. He's been there for 25 years. He has kind of been doing a little bit of coaching on the side and business building, and he's ready to dive in a little bit more. But he said, in all reality, I may go to Lowe's and get a job for 2 or 3 days a week while I build this thing. And I just want to say that honestly, depending on where you're at, you may want some other income that you can rely on.
Yeah.
Because Eric and I, neither one can guarantee you that you're going to have the same amount of income coming in. It'll be blessing and God will bless it, but it may not be the same year one that it is year 3, 4, or 5. I do think there's a turnaround we see with people that stick with it long enough.
Yeah. Well, and you've given such good points to think about for people to consider, and just noticing that this looks differently based on your calling, your season of life, and what you want to create. And it doesn't have to be static, it doesn't have to
No.
be the same always. So just start, I think, is some of the encouragement we would
Yeah.
give. But yeah, you've already talked a little bit about coaches having multiple streams of income. Teaching is one of mine. What are some others for you, Teresa, that have actually allowed you really to flourish as a coach?
I think one that people often overlook, and I actually just worked with one of our certified coaches at her retreat. There is something about inviting people to get away from their everyday, ordinary life, especially if you're working in the faith space and maybe you're connected to a church or something, that retreats are something that I used a lot in the beginning
Mm.
because it's inviting people to come away, take a bigger look at their life or their life calling, whatever your specialty is, whatever that unique voice is that you have, men, women, couples, individuals, however you want to do it, and it's getting them away for a season with a fee, with a retreat price. What I love about retreats as an income generator is also you're getting to practice your content. So it's not as much about coaching, although there's ways to build individual
Yeah.
coaching in before the retreat, after the retreat, as a package or as an option. But it's letting you get your voice down, spending long time with people, 48 hours, 36 hours, hearing their feedback around the kind of people you want to work with so that you know what tools, what things, how can you talk about those pain points more in your marketing, that kind of thing. So I love coaches using retreats or workshops. The interesting thing about workshops is, and we've seen some of our coaches do this as well, you don't have to wait to be invited to do a workshop. You actually can host your own. And even if you only have 5 people come, we just had a girl who did a online summit. First time. She's around the financial space, helping people teach their kids about money. She did her first online summit. She had seen us do one. She's like, I think I'm going to do that. We encouraged her, we helped her, we coached her with her around it. She did it and she had 8 people on, and she felt so good about those 8 people and what she had given to them and value, but she also learned a lot about her content and what people could absorb and all those things. So there's so many ways to we think, oh, we've got to be invited. The world we live in now, we can create our own retreats, our own workshops, our own frameworks, all of those things. And those can lead to the one-to-one coaching, if that's, or the group coaching. And they can still be revenue generators. You don't have to give everything away. Some things you might choose to, but those are some things that I think outside the box and maybe even think about what have you enjoyed in the past? What has caused growth for you, either spiritually or relationally or personally in those ways that you've been drawn to? I think another tool that we would mention is the process itself.
Mm.
The real life process is a framework that you could take and use with others. That's why we've created it and certify you in it so you can use those things. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are things out there. Our One Life maps are another tool that we have that you can take and work with others. They pay you in return. For many people in the first 1 to 3 years, it's helpful to have something tangible rather than just say, have you ever done coaching? Would you want to? Would you want to experience? Like, they're like, what are you talking about? Like, what, even though coaching's been around for a long time now, as an industry, as ICF says, or everyday ordinary person, it's still a little bit like, oh, but I want to take you through a process that would help you create a rule of life or manage your life or find out more about your story. That's a different invitation. So I think there's lots of ways to develop those multiple streams of income. So I
Yeah.
get pretty excited about this stuff, as you can tell.
Absolutely. Well, and you've given us such good things to think about, whether it's a primary career or if this is a second career, if it's something that's part of your flexible income stream, or you even mentioned maybe it's something in retirement, and retirement, we have different perspectives of that. Maybe it's just moving the tires around, getting some
Yeah,
fresh
there you
tires,
go. Oh,
but
that's good.
you're
Look how
retiring.
clever she is.
One of our coaches who also is an entrepreneur. So this may be maybe your second act.
See,
So
we borrow things from other people as well. We
absolutely.
hang out with good people. Yeah, I think it's true, and it's why I love working with you. We're in different seasons of life, experiencing different things, and yet we see people as young as 30 all the way to in their 70s, and one of my mentors is 85, and she is still having conversations and doing sessions with people and brings such great wisdom and insight. Sybil Towner that works on our team. And so one of the things I love, and I was a late bloomer, people, but I have found something that I know that God has called me to probably for the rest of my life. Now,
Mm,
it may look different in different seasons, but I will always carry, and the income need may be different,
yeah.
or I may choose to work less. Maybe there'll be a season I am like, I have a few conversations every week, 2 or 3. I don't know what God has, but I know that I can make money at this, but I can't tell you, you can't tell people what is enough for them or what they need or what God is inviting them to. We can
Mm,
coach around it
yeah.
and we can help you discover those things, but there is no one size fits all. And sometimes that vastness, let's be honest, can feel too much for
Yeah.
someone that's looking at this business. Because it's like, again, going back to my tennis shoe, like I know I want to sell tennis shoes. It sometimes takes a year or two for you to even know what do I enjoy as I have conversation? What feels
Yeah.
light? What feels heavy? You've walked that road too, like
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
business side of it too. Like, bleh. I got to keep track of things. I got to schedule things. We've talked about that often. So it takes a little bit to find your way to the making money part.
And, you're using that tennis shoe illustration over and over, and I'm thinking you really wouldn't sell shoes to someone if you're not wearing shoes yourself. And
Exactly.
so try them on and walk around, and maybe that
Yeah,
means getting a coach even as you're building your
exactly.
business and really noticing what is it like to feel to be a client, and how do you want to be received as a
Mhm.
client, and then what might that mean for your clients as well?
It's why we encourage all of our people to experience coaching.
Yeah.
I am always surprised by the number of people, even in our own certification, that we have come through that have never experienced coaching. And I think it's of greatest value. You learn how to be a great coach through being a client.
Mm,
So every good coach has a coach,
yeah.
has a spiritual director, has I didn't make the phrase, but it takes a whole team of people to hold me together, so to speak. Like there's nothing wrong with multiple, from a therapist to a spiritual director to a coach to a mentor to a friend. All those relationships could be important in
Mm,
different seasons and different places. So if you're looking at coaching, find a coach. We've got a
mm.
lot of them, by the way, at therrealliprocess.com who would, little advertisement there, who would be more than happy to walk alongside you,
Yeah.
Erica or myself included. Yeah, we believe that you
Yeah.
can make money as a coach.
Mm. Well, you're already talking about some of this, Teresa, but as we're kind of even wrapping up our conversation today, if somebody's listening and wondering, should I pursue coaching more seriously? Certainly, we've said explore having a coach yourself, but what else would be part of that exploration that you would encourage for them?
Well, we've given you a lot of good facts and figures around it. And I would say go back. One thing easy and free would be to go back in our podcast and listen. Find the titles that interest you around coaching, because this whole podcast is about real life conversations for Christian coaches. So there's a lot of good information in this. Eric and I are both practicing coaches and the good, the bad, and the ugly of it. And so I would say one thing is you could just go back and listen to podcasts, reach out to either one of us, and we're more than glad to have a conversation with you. You can find us on the website at thereliprocess.com underneath the coaching page. Erica's there, I'm there. And you can reach out to us for conversations or others that are on those pages. Find someone that's maybe in the field that you think you might want to coach in and talk to two or three people. If you're brand new and looking at this, and again, you can check out even our coach training. If you're looking and comparing, like, what do I need? What do I think I need? Do I need credential? Do I need certification? All of that. Again, we'd be happy to talk with you, but go to our page on our website, get certified, and check it out and see what it involves. It actually is just a 1-day training, and then 90 days of being in our community, coaching with Erica, coaching with Lindsay, that's on our sister podcast, coaching with myself. Like, we're coming along to support you for 90 days to try on the hat. And I guarantee you, and I speak this with boldness and clarity, if you don't even pursue coaching, what you will get from that process for your own life in discernment and learning how to be with others, but learning how to be with yourself in your own modern day rule of life will be worth your investment. I believe in it. I believe in our community and our team. That would really give you a really good taste of, and we've had people go through it that are like, don't think that's for me. That's
Mm,
fine. But they loved the program and they loved what they learned in their own discovery. But, research, look at really with God in discernment. How much do I want to invest in this financially and of my time? What would it look like? What am I drawn to? Is it the freedom that it brings? I'm leaving on a trip tomorrow. You just got back from Florida. You can
mm,
work from there. That's one of the things we love. That's why
mm.
I could do it the rest of my life. So, yeah, those are some places to start. I don't know. What do you think of when you think of someone really taking a hard look at making money as a coach.
Yeah, well, I think some of what you've said beyond even just podcasts and those types of things, if you really want to dip your toe, the way I got involved in coaching, I mean, first of all, you were going through coach training and asked me to be your client, and I was intrigued. I was feeling momentum myself, just being a client. And then I think for me, I just even reached out to the coaching school where we both were certified and just said, can I take one class just to actively discern if this is for me, knowing that the skills that I would build in that class, I believe they were life skills too. And I just finished teaching a 15-week course. One of the students reflected and said, I signed up for this because I knew I wanted to be a coach, but I had no idea what was in it for me. And you've said that about our program. We hear that over and over with
Yeah.
our real life process coaches as well. So,
Yeah, I would say the other thing about making money, and I don't say this lightly because there are a lot of things out there that it asks you to invest enormous amounts of money. So don't over invest, but you do have to invest money to make money. And one of the easiest investments is something like our certification. It's going to be beneficial to see, like, how far do I want to take this? How much that's why we call it accelerator, to be honest, is it's not to rush you through. It's to give you that, hey, here's a short way that you can get your toe in the water. You can be a part of Erica teaching you coaching skills, me teaching you business and marketing. But it's a low end investment to find what you want to find about the industry. Or if you're already a coach and you're listening in of, can I make money? Make sure you're investing in yourself. One of my mentors, Dan Miller, who's passed away a few years ago, used to have this formula of, like, you need to be investing back 10% into yourself in your own training and development. And I've really been, one of my things that's made me successful is I've always reinvested
Mm.
a percentage back into my own training and development. So you may be sitting there going, feeling kind of stale. I'm kind of stuck at year 2, 3, 4. Maybe you need a community. Maybe you need an accelerant, an accelerator put into you, and you just need to be sharpening your skills. So all of those things are important to continue. I think that's why CCEs in a lot of industries are so important, even in
mm,
coaching, to continue to
yeah,
do the investment in yourself.
keep sharpening the saw. And the
For sure.
only real way to do that once you're learning is to complement it with practice. So the two
Mhm.
go hand in hand.
For
Yeah.
sure. Any good sports player will tell you, I'm doing the reps
Hmm.
to get where I
Yeah,
want to go. So we just
absolutely.
invite you to consider some of these things. We want to encourage you that there is money. Don't leave it on the table, as they say. Go see, sharpen some things. Maybe from this podcast, you just get, oh, I forgot. I need to invest in me. Or, man, I could take the risk. I could try it out, try it on for size, like you did, Erica. So yeah, we're just happy to walk with you on the journey. We know that sometimes it is scary. Sometimes it'd be great to just talk with someone. So
Yeah.
we can wrap it up for today, Erica. Thanks for just kind of walking us through today. I think it's a great conversation. It's kind of a blunt statement. Can you really make money as a coach? But in the end, I know that that's sometimes the biggest question that somebody might ask.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for sharing such real life insight, the good and the hard of it, because you're in the trenches. We're both in the trenches. And so
Mhm.
just always appreciate the application and the questions even to consider. And so there's so much here you may want to go back and take some notes and listen to as you're considering and actively discerning what your coaching practice you want it to look like.
For sure. We know that you're living out your everyday life you may be doing something right now as you're listening to this. And we just want to remind you that every ordinary day has an extraordinary moment. You just have to look for them and see the light that God is showing you in the day. We invite you to that, my friends, as we sign off from our podcast for today. Have a great one.